It's important to shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Make sure the lid is secure while you're shaking. And then you put it down, open the lid, let the gases out, and let it sit in a warm spot. Needs to be shaken twice a day. I usually shake it in the morning after I've had my coffee, and then I shake it again in the evening while I'm making dinner. My yeast water starter has been fermenting for 8 days. It's ready to make a fed starter, so we can make bread tomorrow. It's going to ferment overnight. So let's get started. We are going to strain off 1 cup of the yeast water. And we have 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And we add the yeast water to the flour and stir. We're making a fed starter. The fed starter will sit in a warm, draft-free place for about 16 hours. So I'm timing it so I can make bread sometime tomorrow afternoon. 2 cups of all-purpose flour. I like to use organic AP flour, but any AP flour that's your choice. And 1 cup of yeast water starter that I made 8 days ago. So I'm stirring the AP flour with the yeast water and just give it a little stir to get the liquid and the flour together. And you get this nice little glob, this mass. This is the yeast water starter with 2 cups of AP. And this is going to sit for 16 hours, maybe a little bit longer, a little shorter. I'll check on it tomorrow. And we'll be able to bake bread tomorrow. So check back tomorrow and we'll bake bread. So it's been 16 hours since we made our fed starter. Here it is. This is what it should look like after 16 hours. See how it has the gluten strands and some nice little bubbles. It's nice and active. We need about 2 cups or 454 grams. So I have my scale here and I'm going to scoop it out with my bowl scraper into the scale to weigh it. I get all that nice little goodness out of there. We're going to mix the fed starter with 5 cups of AP, 3/4 cups of whole wheat, and 1 3/4 cups of water. So after I've weighed my fed starter, I'm going to dump it in here. I want to make sure to get all the stuff out. Bowl scrapers are really good for this. It's a flexible bowl scraper. It's a very handy kitchen tool. And we'll add the water slowly. You can use your hands for this. And slowly mix. Mix this until it is a cohesive mass. If it's too dry, you can always add a little extra water, but we're getting there. You want to slowly mix it. Get Getting a nice ball going here. Your hand works best. I prefer to do this with my hand. If you have a strong wooden spoon, some people use a stand mixer. I like to use my hand, learning how to feel the dough. What it's supposed to feel like is best with your hands. But also sometimes if you have arthritis or wrist problems, this might not be your favorite thing to do. You can use your stand mixer. So we're slowly getting this nice cohesive ball. I might add just a little bit more water. Just to moisten it. I don't want to add too much. I just want to get it to a nice sticky mass. This is pretty sticky, but I don't mind. Let this rest for 20 minutes. Lets the moisture and the flour and the starter, it's often called autolyze. They all get to know each other in here in this little sticky ball. And so we'll come back here in about 20 minutes. Again, one of my favorite kitchen tools, a bowl scraper. It's really good for especially a very sticky, tacky dough like this. It helps you scoop it out onto your board or your table or your counter. We have our 2½ teaspoons of salt that need to be added to the dough while we're kneading it. So I've added the salt and I'm going to start kneading. I want to knead it so that the salt is fully incorporated into the dough. And you want to knead it so it's a nice, smooth, and supple ball of dough. This is also where your hands come in handy. I can still feel the salt, so I know I have to keep kneading. And then I can, if I missed and there's salt on the counter or on your board, you want to scoop it in there. You just want to make sure to get everything in there. That out of the way. If kneading is really difficult, because I understand some people's wrists and arms, kneading just doesn't work out for them too well. You can do this in your stand mixer with the dough hook on low. You just keep an eye on it. You don't want to over knead it. Stop it occasionally and check and see if it's getting nice and soft. I can tell with my hands that the salt is getting fully incorporated because the dough is starting to get a little sticky, which is where we want to go. And you just gather up the ball, roll it and push and knead. The dough's starting to feel really good, soft, supple, slightly tacky but not sticky. I'm starting to feel the elasticity. It's coming together very nicely into this nice, soft, round ball. A few more rounds of kneading, and then we'll place it in the bowl. Dough has come together in a nice soft, tacky, supple ball. We're going to place it in the bowl, cover it, and let it rise for 1 hour. Okay, that looks ready. Let's go. Giving the dough a nice fold, and then we roll it out onto the counter. Set our bowl aside. Folding it like a business letter. Folding the ends to a nice little ball. Then you rotate 90 degrees and fold and fold and fold and fold. Turn it to the bowl and let it rise for another hour. Maybe go take a nap. An hour has gone by, and we're going to turn our dough out onto a lightly floured surface. Set the bowl aside and divide it in half with your bench scraper. It's a very good tool for dividing dough. Right down the middle. And gently shape each half, very gently, into a nice little ball. Pull the bottom together. Just a soft, gentle shaping. Mark on the top. I'm going to work it a little better, maybe to smooth that out. There we go. We've shaped them into two nice balls, and we're going to let them rest and rise for 20 minutes. And after that 20 minutes, then we have a 2.5 hour rise. Maybe we can take a really long nap. 20 minutes are up. Let's see how our loaves are doing. We're going to tightly shape the loaves into very tight little balls. And to curl all those edges underneath and shape them very tightly. I have 2 pieces of parchment paper on cookie sheets, dusted with, I like to use a combination of cornmeal and semolina flour. That's my favorite dusting for the bottom. We'll take each loaf and place it on the sheet. I have another little bowl here with a combination of cornmeal and semolina flour. I'm going to rub it on the top of the loaves. The The loaves rest for 2 to 2.5 hours. I'm going to put them inside of my oven. The oven's turned off, and I'll turn the oven light on to create a nice warm environment for them to rise for 2 hours. Our loaves have been rising for about 2.5 hours. Uncover them. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit more cornmeal, my cornmeal semolina flour mix, serrated knife for slashing. Crowded for space here. I only have one baking stone. I think one has an ear. Wow, they look beautiful. Look at these guys. Oh, gorgeous. So it's taken most of the day. It's a fairly long process to make these. But we want them to be completely cooled before we cut them open. So we're gonna let these rest overnight, and we'll come back in the morning and slice them and have yummy bread in the morning. Oh, it smells really good. So hey, let's slice into this. It has a wonderful, tangy sourdough aroma. Oh, it smells really good. So the crumb's a little dense with a couple irregular large holes. As you can see, we have a funny little face. I want to cut a nice slice here. The bread seems a little dense. It has a nice aroma. It's nice and crispy on the outside. It's a really nice sourdough smell. It has a really great sourdough tang taste to it, which I think is really interesting because it was not made with a traditional sourdough starter. I have some homemade citrus marmalade that I just made the other day, so I'm going to put this on my bread. I love marmalade. Actually, I like all jam. The baking process was long and it took about a day. So I think next time I'll choose a recipe that's a little shorter. The loaf itself is a little dense. The crumb is not as open and universal as I would like, but it has a great sourdough taste. It filled the house with this wonderful sourdough aroma, which is fascinating because it's not a traditional sourdough starter. The dense crumb could possibly be a result of my technique. It tastes really good. I love the sourdough tang, and it's especially good with marmalade or jam.